Picture the manicured grass of a professional football pitch.
Right.
Or like the sharp echoing squeak of sneakers on a polished hardwood basketball court.
Oh, yeah.
When you think of professional sports, the image that immediately floods your mind is just, well, it's inherently physical.
It is. It's totally visual.
Exactly. You picture the sweat, the sheer kinetic energy of bodies in motion, the visible strain of human muscles pushing against the absolute limits of physics and endurance.
Yeah, you can physically see the athleticism right there in front of you.
Right. It is a spectacle of the body.
It's an externalization of effort. Like, you don't have to guess if a sprinter is working hard, right? Their physiology is basically broadcasting it to the entire stadium.
Exactly. But today, we are stepping into an entirely different kind of arena.
A completely different vibe.
Yeah, an arena of pure, unadulterated cognitive warfare.
I love that term.
Suddenly, that massive pitch shrinks down to the precise dimensions of a small, perfectly flat table. The athletes involved are sitting perfectly still. I mean, to the untrained eye, nothing is even happening.
Just two people staring at tile.
Right. But the tension, the invisible, suffocating tension in that room is just thick enough to cut with a knife.
Oh, absolutely.
We are looking at a battlefield where a single momentary lapse in working memory doesn't just, cost you a point. It entirely unravels your existence in the game.
It really is the absolute definition of high-stakes, mental gladiatorial combat.
Yes.
The action is entirely internal, which in many ways honestly makes it significantly more punishing.
So if you're joining us today, we are about to embark on a really unique, incredibly high-stakes analysis.
Very high stakes.
Our mission for this deep dive, we are breaking down the National Domino Competition.
And we need to be clear about what this is.
Yes, to set the record straight, right here at the starting line, we are not talking about casual backyard dominoes.
No.
We are not talking about matching dots while chatting with your friends on a Sunday afternoon with a drink in your hand.
If you bring that casual mindset to this table, you will literally be dismantled in under 3 minutes.
It's brutal.
It is? We are stepping into a highly structured, fiercely competitive, and mathematically rigorous ecosystem.
And our specific goal today is to give you something that will let you, the listener, truly appreciate everything that happened in a specific live game.
Right. The demonstration match.
Exactly. It's captured in an attachment we've been reviewing called Dominoes General Demonstration.
A phenomenal document.
We want to do this presentation to help you understand it without you even having to go and read that particular document.
Though it's a great read.
It is. But once you hear this, you'll know everything that happened in that match and everything around it.
Plus, we have 3 other documents that guide us on the broader ecosystem, which we'll get into later.
Right. So this recorded demonstration match is an educational broadcast between 2 absolute top-tier players, Daniel and Peter.
Yeah, heavyweights.
And they are playing under the grueling, unforgiving rule set known as the response run format.
That format changes everything.
It really does. So for this deep dive, the dynamic is going to mirror a professional sports analysis show.
Yeah. Picture the studio.
Picture the digital screens, the pundits breaking down a Champions League football match frame by frame.
That's us today.
I am going to bring you the play-by-play enthusiasm, dissecting the action on the board.
And I'll serve as your tactical color commentator, exposing the invisible geometry of the game theory at play.
I can't wait. The strategic depth in this specific match is just astonishing.
We have layers of probability, resource management, and psychological warfare to unpack today.
So let's lay out the foundation of the battlefield for you. You need to understand the physical constraints of this universe.
Basics of the board.
Right. We are dealing with a standard double 6 set of dominoes.
Which means exactly 28 unique tiles.
There are exactly 28 unique tiles in existence, no more, no less.
Right.
In this specific 2-player format we are analyzing, the tiles are completely randomized, and each player draws exactly 14 tiles.
So the whole deck is in play.
Everything is in play. There are absolutely no duplicate tiles in the game. Every single piece is a unique asset.
And there is a strict, non-negotiable rule right at the setup phase before the game even begins.
Oh yeah, the valid distribution rule.
Exactly. The requirement of a valid distribution. This rule is the bedrock of the entire competitive format.
Break down what that actually means.
So a valid distribution dictates that no single player can hold a specific number 7 times.
Okay.
The absolute maximum of any one suit you could hold is 6. If you have 7, you declare it, and it's a reshuffle.
Let's actually unpack the math on that. Why is holding 7 tiles of the same number such a catastrophic problem that it requires an immediate reshuffle and redeal?
Because it instantly breaks the game.
How so?
Well, in a double 6 set, there are exactly 7 tiles that feature any given number.
Like all the zeros or all the ones?
Exactly, all the way up to the 6s. Let's say you are holding all 7 of the tiles that feature a 6. You have a total absolute monopoly on that suit. The moment the game forces a 6 to be played, you dictate the entire flow.
Because your opponent mathematically cannot have a 6.
Right. Your opponent mathematically cannot respond. You could lock the board instantly and hold the game hostage.
Wow.
So the game enforces a maximum of 6 to ensure that the opponent always has at least a mathematical possibility of a response.
It prevents monopolies.
Exactly. It prevents monopolies and keeps the ecosystem balanced.
It ensures that no one wins the game purely during the drawing phase. You actually have to play.
Which is kind of important for a sport.
Yeah, exactly. And the objective of the game sounds brutally simple, right? Be the first player to successfully play all 14 of your tiles.
Sounds easy on paper.
But the execution is incredibly difficult. You don't win by just blocking your opponent into a corner so they can't move.
No.
You have to physically empty your hand. It's a race to cross the finish line.
But it's a race through a minefield, where every step you take gives your opponent a map of where the explosives are.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's step right into the pre-match tension of this Daniel versus Peter showdown.
Set the scene.
The match begins. The 28 tiles have been distributed. 14 to Daniel, 14 to Peter.
Right.
The referee has confirmed a valid distribution, and Daniel is designated as the starting player.
The opening move.
Now, right off the bat, before a single piece of ivory hits the wooden table, we have a massive psychological and tactical dilemma.
The dilemma of the first move.
Yeah.
It is the core paradox of the Optimus Optimize system, and frankly, of almost all turn-based strategy games.
It's the ultimate double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Like if you start, you get immediate, undeniable control of the board.
You get to dictate the early direction.
Exactly, and the initial tempo of the game. You are the aggressor, but, and this is a huge, but you also expose your hand.
You are bleeding highly classified information
To your opponent from the very first second. You are making a statement about your resources.
Right.
On the flip side, look at Peter. Peter doesn't start. He gives up board control entirely.
He's immediately put on the defensive.
Right. But he gains a massive, potentially game-winning information advantage.
Oh, absolutely.
He gets to sit back, observe Daniel's opening salvo, and plan a counterattack based on the hard data Daniel is forced to provide.
This dynamic mirrors information theory in economics, or even early-stage military strategy.
Really? How so?
Think about a military feint or an opening bid in a high-stakes negotiation. The player who moves first reveals their resources and their intent.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I want you to imagine sitting at that table right now. You are holding your 14 tiles. You can see the dots.
You know what you have.
You know exactly what you possess. But the other 14 tiles across the table are a complete mystery.
Total fog of war.
Exactly. Every single time you play a tile, you are essentially handing your opponent a vital puzzle piece regarding your remaining arsenal.
So Peter is acting as a data vacuum.
Precisely. By not starting, his first move will be infinitely more informed than Daniel's first move.
Because he has more data.
Right, because Peter has 15 pieces of data. His own 14 tiles, plus the one Daniel just played.
I see it like a high-stakes game of poker, but played in reverse.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Because in poker, you are trying to hide your cards until the very end. In this game, you are forced to reveal your cards one by one.
Yes.
And you just have to pray that by the time your opponent figures out your strategy, you've already crossed the finish line.
It's terrifying.
It really is. You are quite literally giving away the blueprint to your own destruction with every turn.
So let's get into what Daniel actually did.
Okay, so the whistle blows, the stadium is silent, Daniel makes the opening move.
There we go.
He reaches into his hand and plays the 6-6 tile, a double 6.
It is a powerful, aggressive opening statement.
Daniel drops the 6-6, which instantly triggers a fundamental rule of this specific format.
The live number.
Yes, let's break down the mechanics of the live number because this is the engine that drives the entire response run format.
It's the core of the game.
By dropping that 6-6, 6 officially becomes the live number. From my understanding, Peter's entire universe of options has just violently collapsed.
That is the perfect way to describe it. A collapse of options.
Yeah.
The live number is the active front line of the game. The rule states that the opponent, in this case Peter, absolutely must respond with a tile that contains the live number.
He have no choice.
None. He cannot pivot to a different suit. He cannot pass if he has a playable tile.
Wow.
His entire universe of 14 tiles has suddenly shrunk down to only the tiles in his hand that feature a 6.
But I want to push back on Daniel's specific choice of tile here.
Okay, let's hear it.
I am putting on my tactical analyst hat for a second. I'm looking at this from a purely resource management perspective.
Sure.
There are only 28 tiles in existence. Within those 28, there are exactly 7 doubles. The 0-0, the 1-1, all the way up to the 6-6.
Right.
Doubles seem incredibly valuable because they represent concentrated power in a single suit.
They are very valuable.
So doesn't dropping a double right away on the very first turn of the match waste a highly precious resource before the game has even taken shape?
I see what you're saying.
Like, why not play a 6-5 or a 6-4 to keep your options open?
Well, I completely disagree that it's a waste. And the source material actually provides a brilliant framework for understanding why.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is the debate that separates the amateurs from the pros in this league. To counter your point about resource management, we have to look at the midfield control analogy.
Okay, walk me through that. How does a domino act like a midfielder?
Think of a structured football team. Your mixed tiles, the 6-5s and 4-2s. Those are your wingers and your strikers.
Right.
They move the ball up and down the pitch. They change the numbers. But your double tiles, your 6-6s and 3-3s,
Yeah,
those are your holding midfielders.
because they don't change the number.
Exactly. When you play a double, you are not changing the live number. You are reinforcing it.
Oh, I see.
If the live number is 6 and you play a 6-6, the live number is still 6. You haven't altered the trajectory of the game.
You have stabilized it.
Yes. You've essentially paused the board's rotation to establish dominance in that specific sector.
So Daniel playing the 6-6 isn't him burning a resource blindly.
Not at all. It accomplishes 3 massive tactical objectives right out of the gate.
Let's hear them.
First, he is removing a heavy card. In many domino variants, holding high numbers is a liability if the game gets blocked, so shedding the highest possible tile early is a mathematically safe play.
Okay, that makes sense. Get rid of the heavyweight.
Second, it is a probing maneuver. He is immediately stress testing Peter.
How so?
He is asking, do you have a 6? And more importantly, which 6 are you going to be forced to give up right now?
Extracting information earned.
Exactly. And third, and most importantly, it establishes a dominant presence. He is planting his flag in the center of the board.
So Daniel isn't just dumping a tile. He's dictating the terms of engagement.
Absolutely.
He is taking absolute control of the midfield from the very first second of the match. He's looking across the table and saying, welcome to my game, Peter. We are playing in the universe of 6s right now, whether you like it or not.
Right. It sets such a combative alpha tone for the match.
And if you waste your doubles without a purpose later in the game, you end up chasing the play.
Yes. You use them defensively just to survive. By playing it early, Daniel uses it offensively to set the tempo.
Which perfectly transitions into the resulting friction, because Daniel's early dominance creates a bottleneck.
Peter has to react.
Yeah, Peter can't just sit back and absorb data anymore. He has to fight his way out of this 6-dominated opening.
The pressure is on.
And that desperation introduces us to the middle phase of the match. The game moves into what the official rules call chain play, the relentless back and forth grind.
The tactical exchange of blows.
Exactly. Daniel has played his 6-6. The live number is 6. Peter evaluates his hand and responds. He plays a 6-3.
Okay, so the number changes.
Right. Notice the sequencing here. Peter connects his 6 to the board, which leaves the 3 exposed on the other end of his tile.
So the 6 is dead.
Therefore, the old live number is dead, and 3 becomes the brand new live number. The front line has shifted.
But Daniel is ready.
Daniel doesn't miss a single beat. He instantly drops a 3-3. Another double.
Another holding midfielder deployed to stabilize the board.
Yes. He stabilizes the 3. The live number remains 3. Peter fires back immediately with a 3-1.
So now the live number is 1.
Exactly. The pace is rapidly accelerating. The tiles are hitting the table with a rhythm now. Click, click, click.
And this is where the unseen mental tracking begins to heat up to dangerous levels.
It must be exhausting.
Both players are constantly scanning their own hands, deducing what the other is holding based on what they're forced to play.
Right.
And trying desperately to avoid getting blocked while maintaining offensive momentum.
Let's look at a very specific sequence that the commentators highlighted in the broadcast, because it is a brutal display of cognitive warfare.
I know exactly the sequence you mean.
The board is developing rapidly. We see a sequence of 1-2, then a 2-5, a 5-6, a 6-2, a 2-2, a 2-0.
The numbers are flying.
And then we see Daniel execute a deliberate, calculated rotation of the live numbers. Over the next 4 turns, Daniel forces the board from a 5 down to a 0, up to a 4, and then down to a 1.
This sequence is a masterclass in tactical exhaustion.
I see it as a deliberate stress test on Keter's working memory. Break down why rotating the numbers across such a wide spectrum is so incredibly effective.
Because it forces the opponent to constantly scramble across completely different resource pools.
Okay.
By rapidly shifting the live number across different suits, from a high 5 to a completely blank 0, then back up to a mid-range 4, then down to a low 1, Daniel is demanding that Peter possess a highly diverse hand.
Ah, right. If he doesn't have diversity, he breaks.
Exactly. If Daniel just kept the number hovering around the 2s and 3s, Peter could settle into a rhythm. He could cluster his thoughts.
It would be comfortable.
But by throwing him to all corners of the numerical spectrum, Daniel is actively trying to exhaust Peter's options. He's probing for weaknesses.
He's asking, are you weak on 0s? Are you out of 4s?
Yes. He's trying to find the mathematical hole in Peter's armor.
It's the equivalent of a tennis player hitting a drop shot to the net and then immediately lobbing the ball to the deep baseline.
Perfect analogy.
Forcing their opponent to sprint back and forth until their legs give out. Except here, it's not the legs giving out, it's the prefrontal cortex.
Exactly. It's a cognitive sprint.
And that sprint almost resulted in a complete disaster.
Oh, the foul.
Yes. Because right in the middle of this intense high-speed chain play, we have a major disruption. Daniel, the aggressor, the one pushing the pace, attempts to play a card, and suddenly, a sharp whistle pierces the room.
Referee Stacy.
Referee Stacy steps right in, halts the play, and says, "Correction, that card is not in your hand. Withdraw and play correctly."
This is a critical moment that highlights the absolute integrity of the Optimus system.
We need to spend some time on this because the role of the referee in this format is wild to me.
It's very rigorous.
This isn't a casual, whoops, my bad, let me grab a different tile moment. The rules are rigidly enforced.
Very strict.
If you play a wrong tile, meaning a tile that mathematically does not connect to the live number, or a tile you don't actually possess but try to bluff onto the board, you are forced to withdraw it immediately.
And you get a warning.
Yes. You receive an official recorded warning. 2 wrong plays. That equals a red card. You automatically lose the round. You are ejected.
And if it's intentional cheating.
Oh, if you are caught intentionally cheating like hiding tiles or pretending you finish when you secretly have a tile palmed in your hand, it is an immediate, disgraceful forfeiture of the match.
And what's crucial to note here is how referee Stacy operates.
How she manages the table.
Right. She doesn't stop the game every turn to verify everyone's hands. She doesn't force players to display their tiles to her.
That would ruin the pace.
Exactly. She prioritizes the uninterrupted flow of the game. She relies on her own flawless mental tracking of the board and the remaining possibilities to enforce fairness without breaking the momentum.
Which requires incredible mental agility on her part, too.
She has to be as sharp as the players.
She is essentially playing the game in her head from a third-party perspective. But back to the players, the pressure of this rapid-fire chain play is clearly getting to them.
The cracks are definitely showing.
Because just a few moves later, after Daniel takes his warning and corrects himself, Peter commits a massive blunder.
The graveyard error.
Yes. Peter reaches into his hand and tries to play a 4-2 tile onto the board. But there's a huge problem, a glaring, fundamental problem.
The tile's already gone.
Daniel had already played the 4-2 tile several minutes earlier in the game. Referee Stacy catches it instantly. She points at the board. That card has already been played. Withdraw.
Such a brutal call to hear.
Peter is forced to pull it back in front of everyone, take his official warning, and he scrambles to play a 4-6 instead.
This raises an important question regarding mental stamina.
Let's hear it.
The sheer cognitive load required to play at this professional level is insane. You aren't just looking at the 14 tiles directly in front of you.
No, you have to memorize the graveyard.
That's a great term for it. The graveyard. Yeah.
You have to maintain a perfect, flawless, continuously updating mental ledger of the 14 tiles that have already been played, as well as the tiles you hold.
That sounds impossible under pressure.
Memory is not an optional bonus skill here. It is the fundamental prerequisite for survival. Duplication is foul play. The 28 tiles are unique.
So once a 4-2 is placed on the board, it ceases to exist in the playable universe.
Exactly. The fact that Peter physically tried to play a tile that he knew mathematically could not be in his hand means his mental ledger corrupted.
He lost track of reality.
He did.
Now, I have to jump in here and debate this because I see this as a direct result of Daniel's strategy.
Oh, really?
Putting my tactical analyst hat back on, I look at that precise moment and I say, Peter was cracking.
You think Daniel broke him?
Daniel's relentless rotation of the board, that brutal 5-0 to 4-1 sequence we talked about, it worked. It forced Peter to keep too many tabs open in his working memory. And eventually, the oldest tab, the fact that the 4-2 was already played minutes ago, crashed. I see where you're going with this.
The duplicate play of the 4-2 isn't just a random oops. It is undeniable proof that Peter was succumbing to the psychological pressure of the tempo Daniel set.
I see the narrative you're building there, but I am going to push back on that interpretation.
Okay, why?
Yes, his memory slipped. The ledger corrupted for a second. But we have to acknowledge the blistering tempo of this match.
It was incredibly fast.
These are human beings processing complex mathematical states in seconds. What I look at is Peter's recovery.
His recovery.
Yes. The moment Stacy blows the whistle and calls the foul, Peter does not freeze. He doesn't panic.
That's true. He played again quickly.
He immediately withdraws the Phantom 4-2 and smoothly drops a 4-6 in its place.
Which was a valid move.
Exactly.
Oh.
That tells me that while his memory buffer might have glitched for a millisecond, his tactical awareness was still fully online.
He knew what his backup plan was?
He instantly identified a valid alternative route that kept him in the fight and maintained his own defensive structure. It was a stumble, a momentary lapse, but it was not a collapse.
Fair enough. A stumble. I'll concede the quick recovery. But in a game measured in millimeters, a stumble is all it takes to open the door to complete disaster.
That is very true.
And that tension, the knowledge that one stumble could be fatal, brings us directly to the absolute turning point of the match.
The climax.
The moment the entire geometry of the game flips on its head.
The move on.
Yes. The board has been a chaotic, grinding battlefield of rotating numbers. The tension in the room is peaking. Both players are staring intently at their shrinking hands.
And then Peter makes his move.
Peter makes his move. He plays a 1-5 tile. By doing so, the live number officially becomes 5.
Right.
Peter looks across the table at Daniel. The entire room holds its breath, waiting for the counterpunch. Daniel looks down at his remaining tiles. He scans them once, twice. He looks back up at Peter.
And he says it.
He says the two most dangerous words in the entire sport. Move on.
A seismic, game-altering shift in momentum.
Let me explain exactly what just happened, because this rule is the hinge the entire game swings on.
It's the most critical rule.
Move on is a literal vocal declaration of surrender for that specific turn. It means Daniel has looked at his remaining tiles and realized he has absolutely 0 tiles that contain the number 5.
He is mathematically incapable of responding to the live number.
Now, in a casual game of dominoes, you might just knock on the table, skip your turn, and hope your opponent plays a number you like next.
Right, the casual way.
But this is the response run format. When you cannot respond, you don't just skip a turn, you trigger a run.
Which is undoubtedly the most explosive mechanic in the sport.
It fundamentally changes the laws of physics on the board.
Completely.
Because a run means Peter now gets to keep playing, totally uninterrupted. He goes from being a participant in a dialogue to becoming a solo artist on the board.
He's dictating everything.
As long as Peter keeps playing numbers that Daniel cannot answer, Peter can just keep emptying his hand, tile after tile after tile, marching closer and closer to the goal.
Well, Daniel is forced to sit there in absolute silence and watch his lead evaporate.
It is the ultimate offensive opportunity.
Think of a breakaway in ice hockey, or a fast break in basketball after a steal. Peter has the ball, the court is completely open, the defenders are behind him, and he's charging at the net.
All he has to do is execute.
Exactly.
So Peter, riding this massive wave of adrenaline and sudden momentum, looks to capitalize on his run. He has the board to himself. He reaches into his hand and drops his next tile, a 5-4.
Okay.
He's connecting the 5 to the board, and by doing so, he is introducing the 4 as the potential new live number.
Now, the broadcast commentators made a fascinating point here.
Oh, about the mispronunciation rule.
Yes, about the psychology of a run. In the heat of the moment, when you were playing fast and uninterrupted, players sometimes mispronounce their cards.
Because their brain is moving faster than their mouth?
Exactly. And the rules dictate that the last number verbally spoken by the player becomes the official live number, regardless of the physical orientation of the tile.
Oh, wow. So if Peter had accidentally said 4-5 instead of 5-4?
The 5 would have become the live number again. And since Daniel already declared he didn't have a 5, Peter would have guaranteed his run continued.
That is wild. But Peter doesn't mispronounce it. He plays the 5-4 and he correctly, clearly opens the number 4.
And that right there is where the trap snaps shut.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The very millisecond Peter verbally opens that 4, Daniel's hand shoots out like a viper and he slams a tile onto the board with the force of a thunderclap.
He was waiting for it.
He drops the 4-4, a double 4.
An absolute devastating masterstroke.
What just happened? The crowd and the broadcast goes wild. 1 second, Peter is on an unstoppable breakaway, and the next second, Daniel is slamming tiles on the board.
It's beautiful to watch.
Break down this specific mechanic, because it looks like magic to someone who doesn't know the rules.
This maneuver is known in the Optimal League as catching on the break.
Catching on the break.
Yes, it is the ultimate defensive counterattack. The rule is strictly defined. During a run, the player who is actively playing, in this case Peter, is dictating the numbers. The opponent is silent.
Right, Daniel is silent.
But if the active player suddenly introduces a number that their silent opponent actually holds in their hand, the opponent has the right to instantly jump back into the game, play their tile, and steal back control.
He caught him mid-sprint.
He caught him perfectly. The second Peter laid down the 4, Daniel, who was secretly holding the 4-4 in reserve, was legally allowed to intercept the play.
Boom, the run is over.
Instantly over. Peter's momentum is shattered into 1,000 pieces. Daniel is back in the driver's seat, and the live number is now firmly secured at 4.
Now, this is where we need to have a serious pundit-level debate.
Okay, let's get into it.
Why did this happen? Because the Sky Sports-style breakdown between the commentators and the broadcast was fiery, and I want to dive into it.
Yeah, they were split on this.
I am going to side with Kwame Mensah, the tactical analyst from the broadcast. I say this was pure, unadulterated tactical genius by Daniel.
You really think so?
Let's look at the evidence. He didn't just randomly stumble into having that 4-4 at the perfect moment. He managed the board from minute 1.
I don't know.
No, seriously. He specifically held on to that double 4 for a moment exactly like this. Look at his usage of doubles.
Okay.
He used the 6-6 early for aggressive control. He used the 3-3 mid-game for balance. And he kept that 4-4 locked away as a strategic interception tool.
You're giving him a lot of credit.
He tracked the graveyard. He knew Peter would eventually have to pivot away from the 5s during the run, and he laid a calculated trap, waiting patiently for Peter to stumble blindly into the 4s. It was board management at its absolute finest.
And I am going to side entirely with Amos Serwa, the performance analyst from the broadcast, and I will tell you exactly why you were wrong.
Let me have it.
You are giving Daniel way too much credit for a mystical master plan, and you are letting Peter completely off the hook for a catastrophic failure.
What? A failure.
Daniel didn't win this exchange because he's a wizard who can see the future. Daniel won because Peter committed a massive, unforgivable, unforced error.
Oh, come on. He played a tile. How is that an unforced error?
Hear me out, because the math proves it. Peter lost this sequence because he failed to track the cards. He abandoned the graveyard.
You think he forgot?
He was on a run. He had total control of the board, but he got careless with his power. He failed to remember that the 4s were still highly active in the game, and that Daniel, based on his previous plays, mathematically was highly likely to hold a heavy 4. By playing the 5-4, Peter literally handed Daniel the exact, specific key required to unlock his own trap. He gave him an entry point.
But Peter had to play something.
Yes, but if Peter had maintained his mental ledger, if he had tracked the 4s better and realized the danger, he could have sequenced his run differently.
Oh, sequence the run.
He had other tiles. He could have played a tile that opened a different number, say a 2 or a 0, continued his run safely, entirely bypassed the 4 trap, emptied his hand, and won the game right then and there.
So you're saying it was a choke?
Peter didn't lose to Daniel's genius. Peter lost to his own memory lapse. He got drunk on the momentum of the run and forgot to check his blind spots.
That is a brutal assessment. But I see your logic. It means paranoia is a virtue in this game.
It absolutely is.
You can never, ever relax, even when you have the advantage and the board to yourself. You are right. Peter gave him a lifeline. He left the door unlocked.
And Daniel just walked in.
And Daniel, to his credit, did not hesitate to kick the door in. He didn't waste the opportunity. And this incredible shift in power brings us directly to the climax of the match.
The final sequence. The sprint to the finish.
The pace of the game is now completely frantic. The board is loaded with a snake of interconnected ivory tiles.
It's chaotic.
Daniel, having stolen back the momentum with his brilliant or lucky, depending on who you believe, 4-4 catch, goes on the offensive. He plays a 6-1.
Peter is scrambling now.
Peter, desperate, knowing the game is slipping away, plays his final remaining double, a 1-1. He is trying to survive, trying to find any foothold to stall Daniel's advance.
Another survival double.
Daniel calmly responds with a 0-1. Peter drops a 0-2. The live number is now 2.
The tension in the room is unbearable. You can hear a pin drop.
Daniel reaches into his hand for the very last time, and he plays the 2-6.
His final piece.
It is his 14th tile. He places it on the board and pulls his hand back. His side of the table is completely empty. Referee Stacy steps in, blows the whistle, and makes the official call. Goal.
A definitive, unquestionable victory for Daniel.
Let's reemphasize the win condition here, because it fundamentally separates Optimus Optimi from the casual dominoes most people know. You must finish.
Exactly. This is a crucial distinction. In many traditional formats, the game often ends in a block. A situation where the board is locked, neither player has a playable tile, and the game just grinds to a halt.
Right, a stalemate.
Then, you just count the dots remaining on the tiles in your hand to see who has the lowest score. The Optimi system actively discourages that kind of passive defensive stalemate.
So a block isn't a goal.
No. You do not score a goal by creating traffic jam. You score a goal by successfully navigating the chaotic geometry of the board and executing every single tile in your arsenal. Finishing is everything.
And Daniel did exactly that. He wins the match 1-0. And get this, the match went over 15 minutes of intense, continuous play.
That's a long match.
And that includes added time by the referee for the foul corrections, exactly like stoppage time in a professional football match.
15 minutes of unbroken, hyper-focused calculation. It doesn't sound like a long time until you realize they are doing complex probability math in their heads every 3 seconds.
It's mind-bending. So let's look at the post-match breakdown. Let's do the post-mortem. What were the defining factors that led to this result?
Well, for Daniel, his strengths were clear.
Yeah, he controlled the board.
He established early board control with that aggressive 6-6 opening. He used his doubles masterfully, the early 6-6 to dictate tempo, the stabilizing 3-3 in the mid-game, and of course the game-winning 4-4 catch on the break.
And emotional discipline.
Yes. Perhaps most importantly, he showed immense emotional discipline. Think back to when he almost played the wrong card early on. He didn't panic.
Right.
He paused, took the official warning, corrected himself, and refocused his mind. He didn't let the mistake spiral into a collapse.
And contrasting that with Peter?
Peter's fundamental mistake was utilizing his doubles. He had the 5-5 and the 1-1 purely as survival mechanisms.
He played them reactively.
Just to stay afloat when Daniel pressured him, rather than using them proactively to dictate the pace or shift the momentum.
But his fatal flaw,
the moment that he is going to see every time he closes his eyes during film review, was the memory lapse during his run.
he had the game in the palm of his hands.
And he opened the exact number his opponent needed to strike back.
I want you, the person listening right now, to really visualize this scenario. Put yourself in Peter's chair or Daniel's chair.
It's stressful just thinking about it.
How would your cognitive endurance hold up? Imagine sitting there, calculating permutations, trapping 28 specific variables in a constantly updating mental graveyard, anticipating counter moves, and managing the psychological warfare of the board for 15 minutes straight.
Wow.
All while knowing with absolute certainty that a single misplaced piece of plastic will instantly hand the game to your opponent. It is staggering to think about.
It's exhausting just analyzing it from the outside. The mental stamina required is on par with chess grandmasters playing bullet chess.
It really is. But here is where we have to zoom out. Because this deep dive isn't just about one incredible 15-minute match between Daniel and Peter.
No, this is just a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. This single match is a microcosm. It is a proof of concept for a massive, wildly ambitious ecosystem being built right now by lawyer Daniel Kofi Kayer Nkrumah.
We mentioned earlier there were other documents we reviewed.
Yes, those other 3 documents guide us on exactly what they are building here.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, what we are looking at is the deliberate birth of a formalized, highly structured intellectual sport.
Let's break down this ecosystem because the scale of the Optimi National Domino competition is mind-blowing.
It's massive.
They are not just organizing a casual weekend tournament in a rec center. They are building an entire professional sporting league modeled directly on the structure of English professional football.
The structure is rigorously tiered to accommodate different skill levels while maintaining a highly competitive peak.
So what are the divisions?
We're looking at distinct divisions. The rookie division for development and onboarding new talent, the elite division for intermediate, high-stakes competitive play, and the pro division for the absolute top-tier players, the Daniels and Peters of the world.
Okay, and what if you don't have a team yet?
Crucially, there is an open or free agent division for unattached players who are trying to prove their metrics and break into the structured system.
And the league format itself, listen to this because this is where it gets crazy. It's a 20-team league.
A full 38-match season.
These aren't just solo players wandering around from table to table. These are structured teams of 4 to 6 players working together.
Yes.
And the matches between teams are a series of high-stakes 1v1 duels. So Team A plays Team B, Player A1 fights Player B1 at Table 1. Player A2 fights Player B2 at Table 2. It's an aggregate of individual mental combats.
It creates an incredible dynamic of team strategy layered over individual performance. A captain has to decide matchups based on playing styles.
The scoring system is equally familiar to any sports fan. 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, and 0 for a loss.
But what happens if teams are tied in the standings at the end of the season?
This is a great point. The tiebreaker isn't a coin toss or a simple head-to-head record. It relies on goal difference.
Goal difference and dominoes.
Right. And in this world, goal difference means calculating the total tiles played successfully across the season minus the tiles remaining in a player's hand when a match ends.
Let's explore how that actually impacts the mid-game strategy. Because if goal difference matters, suddenly every tile in your hand is a liability.
Oh, absolutely. It fundamentally shifts the risk calculus.
If you know you are likely going to lose a specific match, your objective changes from winning to damage control.
You just want to drop tiles.
Exactly. You need to shed your highest tiles, your 6s and 5s, as fast as possible so that when the whistle blows, the penalty against your team's goal difference is minimized.
It rewards aggressive play, even in a losing position, preventing players from just turtling up and accepting defeat. Every single dot matters for the season standings.
But wait, here is my absolute favorite part of this entire league structure. Because it's a team system, they have instituted a transfer market.
Yes. Mid-season transfer windows.
I am obsessed with this concept. Let's explore the implications of this. Imagine the scouting required.
Oh, the analytics would be insane.
Imagine a team captain looking at their analytics midway through the 38-match season and realizing we are constantly losing the mid-game. We don't have anyone who can control the board when the numbers get chaotic. We are bleeding points in chain play.
So what do?
They go into the free agent division, they look at the stats, and they buy a player who specifically specializes in tracking doubles and executing catches on the break.
The strategy of team building and dominoes, it's brilliant. Let's talk about the economics of this and how people actually get into this ecosystem because Season 1 is officially launching.
People can actually sign up.
Yes, for a 200 Ghanaian cedi entry fee, which is very accessible for a professional league, a player is entered into a full development pathway.
You don't just pay your money and get thrown to the wolves in the pro division.
Oh. That fee gets you into a dedicated training camp to learn these intense mechanics we've been discussing, then a trial stage to empirically assess your cognitive speed and memory ledger, and finally placement into the official competition based on your performance.
And the stakes are very real. The league champion for Season 1 takes home 1,500 cedis, a gold medal, and the championship trophy.
Plus, there's a massive Super Cup clash at the start of the following season, pitting the league winner against the tournament winner for another 700 cedi prize.
And for anyone listening who thinks they have the mental fortitude, the flawless working memory, and the emotional discipline to survive the response run format, the organizers have provided direct contact lines to get registered.
Oh, sure, that right now.
You can reach lawyer and Nkrumah via phone at 0557-527-592 or send an email to mationaldominoscompetition@gmail.com.
0557-527-592 or nationaldominoscompetition@gmail.com. Get in there and secure your spot in the transfer window.
Show them your graveyard tracking skills.
But seriously, looking at this massive infrastructure, the tiered leagues, the transfer windows, the prize money, the rigorous training camps, what is the ultimate goal here? Why build this massive apparatus for dominoes?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the foundational philosophy of this entire project isn't just entertainment. It is fundamentally about cognitive development.
Interesting.
The organizers are trying to build an intellectual sport that actively develops and hones the minds of the participants.
Think about the specific neurological skills required to survive just that one 15-minute match between Daniel and Peter.
It demands high-level strategic thinking and foresight. It requires rigorous, flawless memory tracking under pressure.
It forces players to practice rapid decision-making while experiencing extreme psychological stress.
Exactly. It teaches risk control, assessing the mathematical probability of a run versus the danger of an exposed hand.
And above all, it demands profound patience and emotional discipline.
It's essentially a high-intensity interval training gym for your prefrontal cortex.
But I have to ask you, and I'm putting myself in the shoes of a traditional sports fan who watches football or basketball on the weekends, can an intellectual sport like this truly capture a massive mainstream audience?
That's the big question, right?
Can people really sit in a stadium or watch a digital broadcast on their phones and get genuinely hyped about dominoes the way they do when a striker scores a brilliant top corner goal in the 90th minute?
I passionately argue yes. And the reason is narrative. Sports captivate us not just because of the physical feats, but because of the shifts in momentum, the sudden, unexpected reversals of fortune, the drama of the comeback.
Yeah.
When we discussed Peter's breakaway run and Daniel's sudden, violent catch on the break with the 4-4 tile, that mechanic provides the exact same psychological adrenaline spike as a sudden counterattack in football, or an interception return for a touchdown in American football.
Because the stakes are so clear once you know the rules.
When you educate the audience on the rules, when they begin to understand the invisible, suffocating tension of the live number and the sheer, terrifying danger of an exposed hand, the drama becomes palpable.
You aren't just watching plastic tiles hit a wooden table.
Exactly. You are watching two human minds trying to systematically dismantle each other in real time.
That is beautifully said. You're watching the gears turn, you are watching the trap being meticulously set tile by tile, and you experience the collective breathless gasp of the crowd when someone steps right into it.
Exactly. The physical action is microscopic, but the stakes, the tension, and the narrative arc are universally thrilling.
So what does this all mean? Let's synthesize exactly what we've unpacked today.
Let's do it.
We've seen how the response run format takes a familiar, casual game and transforms it into a high-octane mental sport. We've learned that the very first move you make is a terrifying double-edged sword, granting you temporary control but permanently bleeding your secrets to the enemy.
The information leak.
We watched the brutal, unforgiving reality of mental stamina, where a single duplicated tile in your memory ledger brings down the immediate wrath of the referee.
Memory is everything.
And of course, we witnessed the sheer devastating power of the catch on the break. The ultimate reminder that memory tracking is not just a defensive survival skill, it is a lethal offensive weapon.
It is a game of perfect discipline and terrifying consequences.
It truly is. Which leads me to a final provocative thought to leave you with today.
Oh.
We've spent this entire deep dive analyzing how, in this specific game, every single tile you play removes a valuable resource from your future and simultaneously hands critical, actionable information directly to your opponent.
The more you act, the more exposed you become.
Exactly. What if we viewed our real-life decisions through this exact same lens?
Oh, wow.
Think about it. How much information are you giving away with your first move in a business negotiation? When you speak first in a meeting, are you actually establishing control of the room, or are you just blindly giving the other side the data they need to build a trap for you later?
That is a phenomenal question.
And as you move through your career or navigate your personal challenges, are you actively tracking the graveyard of decisions, the tiles your competitors and colleagues have already played? Or are you just staring blankly at your own hand, entirely unaware of the board, waiting to be caught on the break?
It changes how you view the geometry of every single interaction. It's the ultimate diagnostic test of your own strategic awareness.
We started this hour talking about how traditional sports show us the limits of the physical body. But out there on the tabletop, in the Optimus Optimi League, they are mapping the limits of the human mind. The X-ray machine isn't broken here, it's just pointed at the intellect.
Brilliant way to put it.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Whether you're planning to register for the league and test your working memory in the transfer market, or you're just trying to navigate the complex strategy of your next big meeting, remember the lessons of the board. Think fast, calculate the probabilities, track the graveyard, and whatever you do, stay incredibly calm under pressure. We'll see you next time.